Namaste. My name is Ashton Sabo, and I'm here at Black Sheep Yoga Studio in Oceanside, California. Today we're going to share some fun little things to do with blocks. I teach yoga for surfers here at Black Sheep, and we've been doing a lot of new things recently with blocks, and it's been really great for balance, really great for core strength, and it's also had the added benefit I've been finding recently in helping to strengthen my ankles a lot. I tend to have very crackly, crinkly ankles, and through this practice, working with the blocks so much recently, both in my own practice and through teaching the classes, I've noticed there's a lot less cracks and crinkles and snacks and pops as I'm walking around in my day-to-day life. We tend to, in our culture, shove our feet into shoes, which lose a lot of dexterity of our toes, and we also lose a lot of the grip, the natural grip of our toes that help us in our balance. And part of using the block, it gives us an opportunity to strengthen the grip of our toes, to not only help facilitate that grip as we walk around more normally, but it's also helping to draw the foot up and draw the arch up more, which is giving us even more support with the leg bones as they balance down into the ankle and into the foot. So we're going to start off with a few basic exercises that we've been doing in class. A few of them have to do with stabilization of the ankle, and others will have to do more with movement of the ankle and foot. And some of those, as the ankle stabilizes, we're moving the hips and doing other things. So we'll start by bringing one foot on top of the block. And what we want to make sure is that, most importantly, the big toe is hanging off the block. In terms of the other toes, it's going to depend a lot on the shapes of your toes. If you're like me and you have extra short pinky toe, if I were to bring that toe off the block as well, my big toe couldn't really grab as much. And actually, from a design standpoint, it's our big toe that's responsible the most for the space of balance and propulsion and stabilization in our bodies as far as our toes are concerned. So having the other toes on the block or off the block to grip is great, but most importantly, make sure you've got a nice big grip with your big toe. So we can start with our hands on our hips. And I call this pose Attitude Asana because what we're working is working on a single plane of motion in the hips by allowing in this case, my left foot is on the block, so my right foot is off the block. And on an inhale, we'll go ahead and draw our leg up and into the hip. So we're taking the thigh bone with the leg still straight up and in. And as we exhale, I release it back and down. So inhale draws it up as we actually tilt the pelvis to the side. And then exhale takes it back and down. We can do this repeatedly over and over again. You'll notice not only that the right hip is working quite a lot here, but the left hip working in stabilization is working a lot. We want to be mindful of what's happening in the toes as well. We tend to lose the toes right away, and I get a little lazy and lax. We want to make sure that we're gripping with the toes and the feet the whole time to help with our stabilization and our balance. So make sure that you do so on both sides. We lift up and down, up and down. And again, being really mindful of the standing leg, that we're gripping with our toes, we're lifting up through the arch and staying supported, but then finding that movement of the hips, up and down from that side-to-side motion. Always want to make sure that you come and give your legs a nice little shake afterwards. From there, we move through various motions of balancing on the feet. Instead of lifting our hips up, we're going to start to lift the foot up. So we bend more at the hip and at the knee. And we work on bringing the leg up and down, and be mindful of the stabilizing leg as well, which in this case is the left leg. So I'm gripping with my left toes, solid in my left leg. Glutes are gently toned to help stabilize, but I'm not squeezing in my glutes. So I pull my inner thighs back, I engage through my quadriceps to keep the legs nice and stable. So this time we're not lifting the hip up at all, but keeping the hip as level as possible. And then we switch sides to the opposite side. Mindful to grip with the right toes, be nice and solid with our right leg. And you can do however many of these feels most appropriate. And what's great too is you can move super slow to feel as if you're moving through honey. And that provides its own sense of challenge. And you can move at a slightly more rapid pace or a more vigorous pace that feels appropriate. And they both provide different opportunities in the body to feel and to engage the muscles a little different. Now, another thing that we can work to help the ankle quite a bit as we're moving through and through the Achilles is we're going to step our foot off the back of our block. And how far you move your foot off the block will dictate typically how challenging this will be. So you might want to start with a little more of your foot on the block to begin. I'll start with my left foot again because that's how we've been going. We want to make sure that the heel is at least somewhat off the back of the block so that you can release your heel down as you start to lengthen the back of your Achilles and your calf muscles. And place your hands on your sides. Now here, the toes aren't off the edge of the block unless you have a really large foot. So you're still forced to grab with the toes, but you don't have that extra benefit of being able to grab on the edge. We need to work more of the stabilization by starting to engage Mula Bandha as we lift up through the pelvic floor, draw in through our inner thighs. And from here, take a nice big inhale as you exhale. Press up onto the balls of your left foot. And as you can see, it's quite challenging even to stay lifted. And so we hug in towards the center of our body to find that. Now, on the floor, even one-legged, this can be a little challenging. But you'll find it a little bit easier, or maybe not, on the floor. To come up and down. But we have the added benefit then of the block to actually allow a release and a stretch of the Achilles. And so if you start to move your foot further back, it becomes more challenging. And so the idea here is to keep your legs in line with one another so that the right leg isn't flailing all over the place. And that's part of hugging up and into the center and through Mula Bandha. And we can try on the opposite side. And you'll notice, typically speaking, that one side will be a lot easier or harder than the other. I've got multiple knee injuries in this knee, and this tends to be my weaker leg, even though it's my dominant leg. And make sure, as important as lifting up in this pose, is the releasing down so that your heel is moving lower than the top of the block, so you're getting some opening in the back of the leg. Now, if you have sensitive knees, and you tend to hyperextend in your knees, be extra mindful that you're not clicking back into your knees into that fuller hyperextension. So you might even want to keep a gentle bend in your knee as you're moving through the motion. Okay, so after those, give our legs a little wiggle, a little shake. And we'll close this short sequence with a little Vrikshasana tree pose. Starting with the left foot, we'll bring our foot back onto the block so that our toes can come off the edge. Gripping with your toes, hands to your hips. Start by keeping your hips level and taking your right thigh straight up. Find your balance. Keep gripping with your toes and place your right foot into your inner left thigh. Now, it's so important that you don't press on the knee here, so make sure that you're either above the knee or below the knee. And wherever you find your foot, we're going to press the foot in to find balance, but at the same time, press your inner thigh or your shin into your foot. It's that action of hugging into the midline that provides the most stability here. If you only engage in one, you lose all the stabilization on the opposite side, and in particular, in the stabilizing leg. So let the hip be nice and open. Try not to turn your hips to the side to get the leg more wide, because that's going to torque in your knee, so keep your hips nice and square. And then bring your hands to your heart. Again, this provides the opportunity to squeeze your hands together, give you more stability here. If you want to start to challenge your balance more, you can lift your arms overhead. Separate your hands. Maybe even start to look up. And if you're feeling really radical, try closing your eyes. And really challenge your balance. When you come down, hands come down first, very slowly, release the leg, step off your block, give your legs a little shake, and work on to the other side. Again, And being extra mindful that the toes are engaged, the arches are lifted and engaged. All right, go properly and slowly here. Thigh up, hands on your hips. Left inner thigh, your left foot into the right inner thigh. Squeeze into the midline of your body. Hands to your heart. Stay here. Arms can come up. Palms can stay together if you like. The added pressure of your palms together here, even overhead, will provide a little more stability. If you take your arms apart, keep hugging into the midline through hugging your shoulder blades together more. And if you like, start to look up. Just a little more challenging to the balance. Maybe even close your eyes. Go ahead, hands come down, leg comes down. Give your legs a nice little shake. And that's a very basic beginning opening sequence for our time on the block. If you enjoyed, namaste.